Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm Revel Shorty, and today I'm going to be reviewing Sirens of the City. I'm not going to lie, I ordered that because I like the cover. But the cover actually is really cool and does a lot of things which work with how the comic book lays itself out. It's kind of a comic book in two halves. The first bit, you get introduction to the main character who is homeless and pregnant, existing in New York after being abandoned by a foster family, and we also realise she has some kind of supernatural powers and abilities. Most of this comes across as her trying to get people to do something by telling them to do it, and they do it. It seems to be something she doesn't have 100% control over. She seems to be surprised by it, but also when she gets angry, bad things happen. Houses get blown up, water mains get destroyed, and everything like that. That first half of the comic book felt like what I was expecting based on the cover. The second half gets way deeper into the demi-monde, like this half-life entire society of people existing in the city of New York, which I believe would be a 1980s New York, or at least 90s. I'm not 100% sure on that one. There's no cell phones in sight. It's very dark and dingy and grimy, like the 80s New York of my childhood movies. And when you see a guy playing a video game, it's got the square rectangular controller, which I think is either the Nintendo Entertainment System or Super Nintendo, and that it dates it and ages it back to when I was a child. But the second half, as I say, with all that extra stuff going on, leads me to think that the rest of this information has always kind of been there on the cover. Because yes, it is nice and bold and simple. But the more you look into it, knowing what's going on, you go, yeah, it is more than I thought. And yeah, even the timing of it, 25 cents for a peep show, yeah, that is not something that you'd get by today's prices. And yes, you have her blue eyes and the awesome hair and the costume and everything like that. But you also see red dots and glints in the eyes of other characters and creepy black moving tendril shadows moving around. Because it's not just urban fantasy in more of a YA kind of vibe or even a Rivers of London vibe, although that is pretty close. It reminds me more of an old school tabletop RPG I played back in the day called Nightlife. And I don't think it's a specific kind of thing they've done, unless they're actually huge Nightlife fans and they're hoping nobody else will notice. If they're not, I'd really advise the two creators want to actually go and check out the Nightlife RPG. I think they'll be pleasantly surprised to see how much there's some crossovers there. Creators, by the way, are Joanne Starrer and Carey Randolph. Go and check them out on various social media. So, a comic book with two halves, each one feeding into different aspects of the story. And the story is good. It's down and dark and dingy, and it basically, this first issue, it spends its time building the world quite effectively. Because yes, we have the main focus of the story in the first half. The second half, as I say, more of the demi-monde. And we get a sense of, yes, there are incubus and succubus and vampires and rat kings, sorcerers. Any number of supernatural entities you think might exist in this kind of setting, they are probably here. We don't get absolutely bombarded with it, though. It gives it time to breathe and build up. It has a lot more fun with the setting as a city, which is very nice, because if you want urban fantasy, then you absolutely want the city to be part of your setting, a character, if you will. And we do get a sense that there's a whole power play going on in the city. Various people who are supernatural have their place on rungs of ladder, a totem pole, if you will. And people are trying to fight their way up, or at least stop people from climbing up over them. And this means we have some interesting power dynamics in a certain club. There's also a chance for some really nice visual storytelling, because the artwork is fantastic. It's simple but effective, it's bold when it needs to be, but it also has fun with colours, which I really quite like. When we first see the magic of the main character, it comes out in blue. When she screams somebody, oh, go jump in front of a bus, and he does. Her text on the page where she says that is in blue. When we see a building being blown up or water pipes being destroyed, we see a lot of blue there as well. But this is the nice thing. The blue is also the water of what happens. And when later on we find out that the incubus use red for their power stuff, we realise that gives chance for more red to seep into the world as well. Nails, lights, that kind of thing. Or paint a nail, should I say. And it makes me wonder if we're going to see other supernatural creatures with their own different abilities represented by colours, and this comic book is going to expand more out, and we're going to see more use of colours saturating throughout until it turns into this full neon hellscape, which I think would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, even if it doesn't, I'm a big fan of minimalist colour palettes. I love the idea of black, whites and greys, and then just splashes of occasional colour for highlights. I think it works really effectively, and it's very, very much works for this setting. We also have fantastic character design. I've already pointed out her outfit, but look at the hair as well. And when we meet these people of the demi-monde, they are really dressed to be part of it. Apart from a few of them, like the incubus, just look to be normal dudes, which is kind of nice. And the big over-the-top dress guy at a party with they're all at, is just a regular guy who's a preppy, spoiled kid who's effectively just screwing over his parents, using all their money to be an artist in New York. And there's also like some genuinely nice little takes on very, very bad masculinity. But it feels like it would have been appropriate for the time. Again, if we're talking like mid to late 80s, it feels like it'd be very appropriate for somebody to behave that way and think they're the good guy. Certain transactional quality of a relationship very early on when he offers this homeless person some food. She puts a mouthful in her mouth. He says, "Oh, it's going to cost you. It's free, but it'll cost you as a name." So she spits it out into her hand and puts it back. And it's like he's not worth it. It's that kind of like F you attitude from her, and the idea that he's in a position of power, has that right to behave that way around her, and all of that is like a microcosm of the larger thing that's going on with different supernatural powers and the city as a character and the interactions and the power structures. All of that is going on in this fantastic bit of femme-led urban fantasy. And yeah, I'm a fan. I genuinely did like it. I've added it to my pull list. I'm really looking forward to the next issue. That's it from me now, though. I did go over by about a minute. I do apologise. Until I see you again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.